the greatest accomplishment in my life is my two daughters. I have two daughters, and they are the reason why I live and breathe. Incredible human beings. And since they were little tiny babies, I always told them the truth. And then let them decide for themselves. I want my daughters to grow up in a world where they don't have to be fearful of their government, and they can trust those people who have been put into positions of responsibility and take their oath seriously, like I did and my colleagues. This is a topic that involves every single one of us. It does not belong into the providence of any type of organization, government, religion, institution. It belongs to all of us equally. And what drives me is the fact that your generation has an opportunity to fix the screw ups that my generation made. We did a lot of dumb things. We did a lot of selfish things. And as I've said before, this is a topic that's not like fine wine, where the longer we keep a cork on it, the better it gets. This is a conversation like rotten fruit in the refrigerator. It's starting to stink, and it's been in there a long time. And we have a choice. We can either clean out the fridge, or we can allow it to rot inside the fridge and eventually rot everything else. We have a sacred responsibility in the government to ensure the trust of the American people. And other Americans step up to the plate and say, no, we want to know more about this, and we don't care about the consequences. We want to know the truth. That to me is it's profound. It's amazing. And this is why I do it, because you are going to be the leaders of our country in the near future, for good, bad, or indifferent. It's you. You're going to inherit this country, and you've got to make it a better place, and hopefully learn from our mistakes. Don't do the same bonehead mistakes we did. Please, for the love of God, if we want the species to evolve, you don't have to behave like us gorillas. You can take this topic and give it the attention that it deserves. And maybe in your lifetime, maybe you'll have an answer, maybe not. But at least you don't have to be afraid asking the question, because in my generation, we couldn't even ask the question because it was so fraught with stigma and taboo.
For decades, the Pentagon publicly stated that it was not studying UFOs. UFOs were literally nothing but swamp gas. This Pentagon house of cards came crashing down in December 2017 when Luis Elizondo quit the Pentagon in protest and went public in the New York Times bombshell story, quote, glowing auras and black programs, the Pentagon's mysterious UFO program. This was literally one of their probably one of their biggest stories. Now, the New York Times story got the attention of lawmakers on Capitol Hill. Before they knew it, pilots and other military members began showing up at their offices to share their experiences encountering UFOs, now known, of course, as UAPs, or unidentified anomalous phenomena, and the retaliation they were receiving from the Pentagon for even reporting the incidents up the chain of command. Now, in reaction, Senators Kirsten Gillibrand, Marco Rubio, and others passed legislation forcing the Pentagon to report to Congress on UAPs and passing laws as well to protect UAP whistleblowers. The New York Times article and the resulting congressional action absolutely enraged the Pentagon, as Luis Elizondo exposed that they've been lying all along, not only to the American public, but also to members of Congress. Now, while initially confirming Lu's involvement in AATIP, the Pentagon quickly changed its tune. Led by Pentagon Public Affairs Officer Susan Goff, the Pentagon, in coordination with the Central Intelligence Agency, denied that AATIP even existed and used journalists and Twitter bloggers to spread conspiracy theories, all to undermine Luis Elizondo's credibility. The Pentagon's goal was absolutely clear. If they could erase any records of AATIP and Luis Elizondo, Congress and the American public would conclude Lu was a fraud, and the Pentagon could, just put the UFO toothpaste back in the tube. Now, Luis Elizondo provided some exclusive statements to the Good Trouble Show. Quote, when people first inquired about my story, the Pentagon initially confirmed my role in AATIP and the focus of its efforts. Shortly after Secretary Mattis left the department, the Pentagon changed its tune by saying all my emails had been deleted, the same emails that would substantiate not only my claims, but many of those who were part of the AATIP effort, including one of its sponsors, the great late Harry Reid. Now, keep in mind, as part of this legal case, United States versus Khalid Sheikh Mohammed et al., there is a court preservation order that is still in effect that requires the retention of literally all of Lou Elizondo's emails in perpetuity because of Lou's involvement in the 9/11 Commission's trial for the accused perpetrators of the attacks on 9/11. Now, all of this came back to the forefront with the release of this story by John Greenwald Jr. of the Black Vault. Quote, new FOIA release highlights redactions in key AATIP correspondence. What is the Pentagon hiding? It's a pretty damn good question. Now, while I have been critical of some of John's analysis, he actually has done excellent work utilizing the Freedom of Information Act. I've included a link to John's article in the YouTube description, and of course I encourage everyone here watching to read it. Now, through a FOIA request John filed in 2021, he finally received an email chain from the Pentagon regarding Lou Elizondo, AATIP, and Lou Elizondo's replacement at AATIP, Neil Tipton. Lou, once again, in an exclusive statement provided to the Good Trouble Show, continued, later, when confronted with a FOIA request, the Pentagon denied again the existence of any emails or correspondence between me and other seniors within the department who I was regularly engaged with until the day I left the Pentagon in 2017. Recently, one of my emails was leaked by an unknown person on Reddit. Now, this time when the Pentagon was challenged with the existence of the email, in this case, one that described the authorized transfer of AATIP leadership responsibilities to another senior member of the department and endorsed by the Secretary of Defense front office, they were forced to admit this email existed, was not deleted as they had previously claimed. Now, begrudgingly, the Pentagon finally did release the email, proving my role and participation in AATIP. The Pentagon decided to redact the mention of AATIP. Big surprise there. By this logic, they would also have to redact the name of Arrow and any other office at the Pentagon. Yeah, well, big surprise there. Now, Greenwald, in his article in the Black Vault, shows the two emails. We'll show them here. And, if you look at it, I mean, this is incredibly damning. It truly demonstrates that the Pentagon continues to break federal law. And, when you look at these two things, what it does is it really lays bare the fact that Lou Elizondo's emails have not been deleted, despite what, the Pentagon wants you to think. Now, the Pentagon continues to lie to Congress, and we know a lot of members of Congress and their staffers watch this show, and I want you guys to really pay attention to this. They're lying to you and the public about all of this. Remember, a standing federal court order, as I mentioned, requires the Pentagon to keep all, not just any, all of Lou Elizondo's emails on file in perpetuity. I mentioned earlier that Pentagon Public Affairs Officer Susan Goff has been, well, let's just say, a staple at the Pentagon Public Affairs Office. And a lot of people wonder, who is Susan Goff? Well, she lists on her LinkedIn profile that she's a senior strategic planner and spokesperson at the Pentagon. She's not just a talking head. Before that, she was on the defense contractor Booz Allen Hamilton's strategic communications team. And, well, before that, she was a colonel in the United States Army. Guess what she was specializing in? Psychological operations. That's right. No big surprise there. Her thesis was on psychological operations, and that is not really a surprise. Lou Elizondo continued to note to the Good Trouble Show, it should also be noted that the Pentagon's mouthpiece for this one individual, Susan Goff, who he's alluding to here, within the Public Affairs Office, who has been given sole authority to handle all absolutely all FOIA requests involving UAPs, Aero, AATIP, and specifically me being Luis Elizondo. All this information is in the public sphere and can be easily verified thanks to the works of certain private citizens fighting for increased government transparency through the FOIA process. Simply put, you and Congress continued to be lied to by a few at the Pentagon who prefer to view you and the American people as sheeple. Make no mistake, the Pentagon Public Affairs Office has a long history of feeding misinformation to certain questionable journalists to mislead the American public, and that relationship is alive and well today and is in fact now legal through a new and disturbing policy of perception management. Now, information and perception management it's really just kind of a fancy word for propaganda or psychological operations. In fact, the Pentagon's UFO UAP program, Aero, which was run by former director Sean Kirkpatrick, spent well over $1.9 million per year on information and perception management contractor Sancor. Now, we have stated time and time again on this show that the Pentagon, in coordination with the CIA, and I want to remind everybody, the CIA has been the portfolio holder of the UAP, UFO, crash retrieval and back engineering program. They are the ones that own this thing. And they have been conducting, along with the Pentagon, a covert mass psychological operation against the American public and you, members of Congress, regarding the UAP issue. And this is in direct violation of Presidential Executive Order 12333. Now, we have also stated that for literally decades, the Pentagon and the CIA have utilized harassment, intimidation, illegal surveillance, and even wet works, which is the CIA's term for targeted assassinations, to silence or discourage any government whistleblowers involved in the decades-old UFO crash recovery and back engineering program. So this final statement from Luis Elizondo is absolutely the most disturbing thing. Quote, to add insult to injury, I was notified yesterday that there may be a personal threat against myself and several other whistleblowers formerly associated with the UAP effort for the U.S. government. As such, I would like to make this perfectly clear to the American people. I am not prone to accidents. I'm not suicidal. I'm not abusing drugs. I am not engaged in any illicit activities. If something happens to me or my family members, in the future, you will know what happened. You will know what happened. I want everybody to just stop and think for a moment about that statement from Luis Elizondo. I mean, this is coming from a former high-ranking and decorated member of the intelligence community, a guy much like David Grush and others that have literally sacrificed everything for this country. People like Luis Elizondo and David Grush that have in many ways thrown away their career, thrown away literally everything to put country before themselves, country in many ways before their families. For Luis Elizondo and others, which I think we'll probably hear this from other people, to have to tell the public that, hey, if anything happens to me that might look like a suicide or an accident, that, you know what, it wasn't an accident. How enraging, how absolutely maddening that we have a Pentagon and the CIA that, you know, many of us thought all of these sort of dirty tricks and things that they have done in the past would stop. And no, it continues. It is absolutely un-American. Congress, you should be absolutely outraged. How incredibly sad. Lou Elizondo must make that kind of statement in case something that might look like an accident happens to him? I mean, it's almost impossible to comprehend. So members of Congress, you took the following oath. Quote, I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which I am about to enter, so help me God. Members of Congress, you have before you a Pentagon and an intelligence community, the CIA, whose continued illegal covert actions targeting Americans not only fly in the face of congressional oversight, it flies in the face of the Constitution and everything the United States of America stands for. These folks have done everything for this country. These folks recognize that there is something absolutely corrupt and rotten going on in the Pentagon and the CIA. Lou Elizondo and David Grush and others, they put themselves and their families at risk with this kind of bullshit. Congress, members of Congress, it is time for congressional hearings, full stop.
But anyway, there's some more context. Now, UFO Joe as well also tweeted this out, which I found interesting. Right, so I'm just going to play it and then we'll discuss it.
I understood going out I was going to get a tremendous amount of ridicule, and I'm still getting that ridicule because people don't know my intentions. They don't know what we did in the last 10 years, and understandably, some people are mad. Since I've left, I've received 2 threats from people inside that building, which to me is almost unfathomable. I've had my security clearance threatened, and then I had someone call me and actually tell me maybe I should be threatened for my personal safety. Now that's kind of seems crazy and a little bit ridiculous, I understand, but it nonetheless happened. And that's a problem for me. It's a problem because I'm trying to allow our country to have a conversation. And in the end, this is not under the fact that there are things we can't explain is not the providence of any government or any institution. It's just like Galileo making the point that the Earth was not the center of the solar system. That is not a classifiable fact. So my point being is if this is something that the American people think is important enough to make a national security priority, then they need to have the conversation and let them decide. In the end, I really don't care what the American people decide as long as they have the ability to make that decision themselves. But to keep that information from the American people and not even have a conversation, that is a problem.
What do you want me to say? I 1,000% agree with all that that he said, and I'm, look, there's no question that he's being threatened. So I know there's going to be people in the comments, oh, you weren't threatened, Luis Elizondo. Again, regardless of how you feel about him, let's be real. He was absolutely more than likely threatened. Now, maybe not in the way you think or want or whatever, but that's sad to hear. And this is from a couple years ago, right? So this isn't recent, this clip I just played for you.
I know a lot more than I'm able to discuss publicly because I know how these organizations play. They're using perception management, disinformation, exactly as they did right back in 1974, 75, 76, when Nixon was trying to put out the fires of Watergate. What we are seeing here, Matt, is the slow burning embers of a national scandal. And sooner or later, it's going to come out into the open. And what's happening at the moment is there are people behind the scenes who are coming forward. And I get kind of bored, really, with people in the UAP, UFO community who treat this as entertainment. They get angry. They say, why is my weekly serve of new information about UAP stuff not coming up on my plate? And what they don't understand is the level of work and investigation that has to be done to crack this stuff without compromising sources. And believe me, that work is being done right now. There are more people coming forward, quietly providing people like me and congressional oversight committees information about blatant criminality and illegality involving the program. And it's going to come out. Mark my words.
Later on Twitter, some corroboration of these threats emerged. Journalist Merrick von Rennenkampf wrote, "I do not post this lightly. I have been made aware of specific credible threats against Luis Elizondo. At this time, I am unaware of specific credible threats against other confirmed or prospective UAP whistleblowers." Later, rogue UAPTF, who is well connected, wrote, "At Luis Elizondo, statement tonight is 100% true. There are powerful people who've made plans to end the lives of UAP, NHI, non-human intelligence, whistleblowers." Amidst all this, someone wrote to Lou, "I would hate to be the person that tries to harm Lou or his family. It won't end well. It won't end well for anyone that tries that, in my opinion." To which he responded, "Nope." I opined on Twitter writing the following: "With learning about new threats levied against Luis Elizondo and other whistleblowers, I have to wonder if it's because of something they have planned. Threats almost never come out of a vacuum. Luis Elizondo and others have probably made someone angry. Could part of the equation be that Lou's book is coming out soon? Is there something planned with Lou and other whistleblowers that is angering some people involved with the cover-up? We can only speculate. However, don't forget this tweet that Lou published on October 13th, 2023. Howdy, folks. Just a quick update for you to consider. Please know that ongoing efforts are underway that will reveal themselves by early to mid-2024. At the risk of haters trying to sabotage our efforts, I can't be precise at this time. But if you have learned anything over the last 5 years, I never make empty promises. Trust me, this will be worth it. Special thanks to Chris Mellon and Jay Stratton. We are about a month and a half from mid-2024, close to the deadline that Luis Elizondo has given us for important developments. It's highly plausible that the threats he and other whistleblowers received are connected. While this is extremely disturbing, I'm glad Luis Elizondo went public, as this could offer him significant protection.
So yeah, the control group has been taking people out for a long time. There had been some indications that maybe they had slowed down, that now they move to target someone's credibility or, go against them criminally and do less of these assassination type things. However, we know that they apparently broke into David Grush's home. We don't know what they did in that home. The old adage, they'll go after your dog first and your cat first and then you. They threaten people's grandmas. So we don't know what they did in Dave's home. But now it looks like they are going after Lou. They are at least he is making a statement saying that is what he is worried about. Him and others, that there are possible threats against them. Deeply troubling stuff. Here's Ross Coulthart commenting on it as well.
Sir.
G'day, Matt. How are you? I'm shocked by what Lou and you have revealed today. That is quite something.
It is quite something. And what is your reaction to all of this?
Okay, it's very hard to overstate the implications of what Lou has told you today. I've known about some of what Lou's talked about there for some time. I'm amazed he's gone public with it, and I'm very happy to see he's finally done this because, frankly, I think a lot of this needs to be brought out into the open because a lot of whistleblowers are being intimidated, threatened, and possibly worse.
Ross goes on and he gives some great insights into Lou Elizondo's emails being deleted and how that is illegal because of situations involving 9/11. Now, of course, there's many people that seem to have been taken out by the control group. Among them, likely Carl Wolf, who claimed he saw NASA photos of alien structures on the moon, died in a mysterious bike accident. Many people like that coming out with this information have met mysterious deaths. There's a wide range of them. I'm not going to go through them all at the moment, but they're not alone. Free energy pioneers, people who have been developing free energy, often seem to meet mysterious deaths. The Y-Files has done at least a couple episodes on it. All these people meeting strange deaths. It's eerie, guys. It's eerie. All these guys, these free energy pioneers, meeting strange deaths. It's suspicious. It's a pattern. It's not just suspicious. It's a pattern, guys. It's a pattern. So we sure don't want Lou Elizondo to fall into that pattern. Not good, guys. Not good. I would like to say that this means the control group is afraid that they are backed into a corner and forced to take desperate actions. But, as we've seen, it's not so desperate for them. They've done this time and time again, and sadly, it seems to work for them. They have managed to silence people effectively, very brutally effectively, with this method. So, I don't think they would go after somebody as high a profile as Lou Elizondo. I really don't, but they might. They might, guys. It's troubling. It's very troubling. It's a troubling situation. So Godspeed, Lou. We wouldn't be in this era of UFO disclosure without Lou Elizondo. That's just a fact. That's just the way it is. We owe a lot to Lou. If they did go after Lou, it would turn Lou into a martyr. So I don't think they would go after Lou for that reason. He would become even more of a symbol than he is already. I think that's going to protect him. So, but it's very troubling, guys. It's troubling. My thoughts and prayers are with Lou and his family and all those coming out with this information, trying to change the world, trying to reveal to the world this truth that the phenomenon is here and that the government has known about it all this time and has very likely been interacting with it for a good portion of that time. So yeah, Godspeed, Lou. Love you, man. Be safe. Keep your family safe. That comes first.